Single mom's fears exposed on a blind date. Billionaire's touching remark transforms everything. Emma stood outside the elegant restaurant, her heart racing and mind whirring. The polished marble floor gleamed under the faint light, and she could almost hear her worn-out shoes squeak against its surface, amplifying her feelings of inadequacy. A blind date? She had reluctantly agreed at her sister's insistence, picturing herself among well-to-do patrons who wielded judgment like a weapon. Could she fit in? Doubt lingered like an unwanted guest at the back of her mind. She felt trapped between two worlds, the grit of being a single mom juggling multiple jobs and the glamorous world she feared awaited her inside. As she stepped through the entrance, Emma's nerves swelled. Mark, her date, was already seated, an easy smile gracing his handsome features. He exuded confidence, yet the friendly warmth of his demeanor only enhanced her sense of being an outcast. Were the stories of his success mere reflections of their socioeconomic divide? She hesitated, wondering if he could ever understand the struggle to make ends meet. As they exchanged pleasantries over sparkling water and gourmet bread, nagging insecurities flared within her. What if he saw her as a failure? The responsibility for her children weighed heavily on her as feelings of desperation clawed at her heart. Before she could gather her thoughts, Mark began recounting his own upbringing, speaking fondly of how his modest childhood shaped him. Emma listened, entranced yet guarded, as he spoke of days spent working in his parents' small shop. Could he really understand her? Her frustrations boiled to the surface, and memories of her own dreams spilled forth. "I've always wanted to own a small bakery," she confessed, her voice shaky but earnest. "But I'm terrified I won't be able to provide a better life for my kids. They are my entire world." In that moment, she felt exposed, a raw nerve laid bare. She sought refuge in his gaze, but the flicker of judgment she once feared loomed closer when a former colleague of Mark's wandered by, casting Emma a contemptuous glance. Her confidence wavered, the uncomfortable reminder of class distinctions tightening around her, smothering embers of hopeful connection. What could they possibly have in common? The tense atmosphere thickened, charging the air with a sense of unease. Just as she dared to confront him about their barriers, Mark looked at her, astonished yet intrigued. She poured her fears into words, illuminating the division that clawed at her spirit. His response was surprising. "True success," he said thoughtfully, "is measured by dreams pursued and the people we support, not dollars." But before she could absorb his words fully, a waiter approached with an urgent message for Mark, snapping the moment. Tension pulled tight inside Emma. Would he return, or would another opportunity slip through her fingers? She inhaled deeply, caught between what could be a significant turning point in her struggle for identity and lingering doubts. Her surroundings began to blur as the buzz of the restaurant faded into insignificance. What if this was the moment she could shift her narrative? Just then, Mark caught her eye from across the room, signaling for her to wait. The flickering uncertainty of their connection raised new questions. Could it withstand the storm life was about to unleash? Would her transformed dreams finally flow from her heart into reality, or would the crack between them return, leaving her alone once more? The restaurant buzzed around Emma, fades of laughter and clinking glasses punctuating her whirling thoughts. Mark had stepped away, leaving an unsettling silence that echoed her anxieties. Was this the moment she'd been waiting for? Or merely a fleeting glimpse of what could never be? She tapped her fingers nervously on the tablecloth, suddenly acutely aware of her attire, a budget dress, one she had carefully chosen in hopes of feeling confident, but now felt painfully inadequate against the backdrop of opulence. The weight on her chest pressed down, reminding her of the responsibilities she juggled. Every passing second dug deeper. The waitress glided by with a knowing look, and Emma felt the urge to dissolve into the plush chairs. Yet, in the absence of Mark's presence, a spark of defiance ignited within her. If he truly valued dreams over dollars, could she dare to embrace her own desires again? A bakery, a simple idea rooted in her childhood love for baking. It wasn't just a dream, it was a potential future for her children. As Mark returned, his expression was focused yet curious. He had seen the flicker of determination in her eyes, the way she sat taller, as if gathering strength from her aspirations. "Sorry about that," he said, settling in with a renewed sense of purpose. "Where were we?" His gaze lingered on her, inviting yet challenging. Emma could feel the shift within herself. The confidence she previously lacked began to bloom as she spoke about those bakery dreams, how she envisioned the smell of fresh bread wafting through a cozy shop, the laughter of customers filling the air. Mark leaned in, genuinely invested, eyes sparkling with encouragement. "It sounds incredible, Emma. Have you ever thought about taking the first steps?" His question opened a door she had closed long ago, and suddenly the idea felt tantalizingly real. "I have," she admitted, a hint of excitement creeping into her voice. "But fear keeps me from moving forward. I don't have the means, and what if I fail? I can't let my kids down." The flicker of vulnerability flashed across her features, but Mark didn't flinch. "Every entrepreneur faces failure," he replied, his voice steady. "But it's in those moments we learn the most. The true measure of success is resilience." Emma processed his words, pondering the weight of truth behind them. Could she truly build that bakery? Could she tackle her fear head-on to reclaim her dreams? The thought was both thrilling and terrifying, but it felt like a choice she hadn't realized she was ready to make until now. As their conversation unfurled, Emma felt the boundaries of her insecurities starting to dissolve. Mark shared his own challenges, failures, and setbacks that shaped him. They were both vulnerable. He shared how he found strength in his struggles and how he learned not to hide from them. The revelation that he, too, had climbed from uncertainty shook the foundation of her doubts. By the time their main courses arrived, Emma felt a shift within herself, a burgeoning strength woven with the belief that perhaps she had more control over her future than she'd ever imagined. Mark's presence felt less intimidating and more like a partnership teetering on the brink of promise. Yet, as the night wore on, reality loomed larger. Emma contemplated the logistics, finding funding, balancing time, and still being a mom. A wave of doubt crashed through her burgeoning hope. Was she ready for this? The whirlwind of emotion left her dizzy, confronting yet electrifying. "Mark," she began slowly, feeling the weight of her decision. There is so much at stake, but his simple gaze anchored her, promising support as she navigated the terrain of her fears. Just as she was about to delve deeper, a sudden commotion drew her attention to a man across the room, his face flickering with recognition, disappointment lining his features as he pointed toward their table. "Emma?" he called out, arms crossed. An earlier colleague, someone whose judgment haunted her still. "What are you doing here?" Her heart sank, or was it rising for a fight? In that split second, her internal battle crystallized. Would she retreat into her insecurities or embrace the potential for growth, consequences be damned? She met Mark's steady gaze. The moment of truth arrived. Who was she going to be? Emma took a deep breath, her heart racing as the recognition of her former colleague set an unsettling tone in the air. Relying on every ounce of the newfound resolve Mark had sparked, she straightened her back and adopted a calm demeanor. "I'm here with a friend," she said, meeting her colleague's eyes with surprising steadiness. The man smirked, the arrogance almost rolling off him in waves. "Friend? Or is this an opportunity?" His tone dripped condescension, but she stood firm. "A friend who believes in pursuing dreams," she corrected, forcing confidence into her voice. She felt Mark's presence solidified beside her, his attention now equally on the confrontation, as if her stability reinforced his own. She could sense an internal surge of empowerment, filling the cracks in her earlier insecurities. The exchange didn't last long, but the embarrassment hid behind determination, and with every passing second, Emma felt lighter, liberated from her old self. "Good luck with your ambitions," her colleague threw over his shoulder before retreating into the crowd, but Emma felt an unexpected warmth spreading through her, the sting of his judgments fading fast. "Wow," Mark said, a genuine smile adding a spark of intrigue to his features. "That was something." "Maybe I'm done accepting other people's assessments," she replied, a hint of playfulness returning. "Especially when I have bigger fish to fry." Mark nodded, his expression mirroring her relief. "You know how you handled that. It shows growth." And it's just a glimpse of what's possible when you stop letting the past dictate your future. Emma dealt with swirling emotions, regaining a sense of agency, realizing her strength, but a nagging doubt lingered. But what if I don't have what it takes? Mark didn't skip a beat. Then you'll learn. You need to observe yourself as you pursue this bakery dream. Track every triumph and setback. Find what elevates you. His words resonated deeply within her, opening a floodgate of possibility. Turning inward, Emma began to visualize, truly grasping her aspirations. The layout of her bakery took shape in her mind, the cozy decor, the cakes lined on the shelves, the clatter of small conversations interwoven with the scent of fresh pastries. This was her yearning. She could see the culmination of her efforts, pouring effort into something tangible. Tell me more, Mark prompted, leaning forward. It felt like she was unveiling a piece of herself long buried, and the excitement built. I was thinking about the name, something like Sweet Beginnings. It resonates with new adventures, she said, emboldened by his encouragement. Creating something from scratch, a place where families gather. I want to nurture that sense of connection. That's beautiful, Mark replied, his eyes shining with admiration. It's an experience, not just baked goods. Emma considered his words, realizing this small pivotal moment lit a path ahead. Plans materialized, mingling with the blissful scent of fresh dough in her mind. But then, reality crashed back in. Wait, what will I do for funding? The kids? The flicker of doubt returned, their priorities intertwining. Mark's expression turned serious, and he leaned back, contemplating. Have you explored community grants? Microloans? Or even a crowdfunding campaign? The world is more sympathetic to dreams than you realize. The tension melted away a bit to possibility. Emma's brain buzzed with a mix of excitement and practicality. I'll research all of that, she asserted, adrenaline buzzing through her. I could write a business plan. Absolutely, he encouraged. Start sketching on paper. Break it down into actionable steps. As their conversation continued, Emma felt a swell of potential. Every word spun into a viable action plan, revitalizing ambitions she had shelved far too long. Yet just then, a shadow crossing the room caught her attention. It was her former colleague again, this time aiming directly for their table, crude tilt to his lips. Would he challenge her again? Did she have the strength to confront him once more, or would fear clamp down again? The air shifted, tension resurfacing as Emma squared her shoulders. The real test loomed closer. Who would she really become in the face of opposition? Emma's breath caught in her throat as her former colleague closed the distance, a smirk still plastered across his face. She could feel the weight of his gaze, dissecting her, that same contempt she thought she had conquered washing over her like a cold wave. Back for round two? He taunted, crossing his arms with an air of superiority. Emma's heart raced. The facade of confidence she had crafted in the last few moments felt like a flimsy shield against the onslaught. Yet a flicker of the boldness she'd uncovered with Mark ignited within her. I'm not here to entertain you, she replied, her voice steady. What do you want? Just checking if you're still spinning fantasies about this bakery of yours, he sneered, leaning in closer. You really think you can make that happen? With your situation? His eyes roamed meaningfully, lingering on the lives she'd dedicated herself to her children, their needs, the constants that had held her back. Absolutely, Emma shot back, the defiance surprising even herself. I'm fully committed to making it a reality, no matter what you think. The words echoed in her mind, and for the first time, they felt true. His laughter rippled through the air, a harsh sound that sent a jolt of anger through her. Good luck juggling your little ambitions with your responsibilities. You'll be back here begging for a job before you know it. He turned on his heel, leaving her with a splintering thought. Could he be right? As she processed his words, Mark's reassuring presence surged beside her, grounding her again. You handled that well, he said, a nod of his head lending support. Yet, her resolve wavered. What if she was fooling herself? I'm scared, she admitted, lowering her voice as they shifted slightly away from prying ears. What if I fail? I mean, he's not wrong about my life being complicated. Mark met her gaze with unwavering seriousness. Fear is normal, Emma. The difference now is how you choose to respond to it. Remember why you're doing this. You've got dreams that are worth pursuing, and that's powerful. She inhaled slowly, allowing his words to sink in. The imagery of her bakery expanded in her mind again, the joys it would bring, the hurdles she would navigate. The dream was not merely about baking, it was about crafting a legacy, a source of pride for herself and her children. The stakes were high, but perhaps they had always been high. Right. Just it's daunting, she confessed, feeling the vulnerability of her hesitations. There was a real possibility of failure, of missteps along the way. Daunting can lead to discovery. Look, the world is full of people who think they know you. They'll always have opinions. You need to trust yourself and surround yourself with those who uplift you. He was right. Emma straightened her shoulders, igniting that inner fire once more. The confrontation with her former colleague could be a blueprint. Every skepticism could fuel her determination. What if the naysayers turned into the reminders of her success? Before she could voice her thoughts, they were interrupted by a sudden commotion just a few steps away. A woman stumbled, laden with bags, causing a cascade of items to spill onto the ground. Emma observed the scene unfold, itching to step in and assist. "Here, let us help," she said, igniting an instinctual kindness. But as they approached, her former colleague's voice echoed again in her mind. "You're just overstepping." Replaying the moment, Emma felt a new resolve rising. This was not about comfort. This was the action she needed to take in reevaluating her capabilities. She couldn't let fear stop her from embracing opportunities, be it in supporting others or risking her dreams. Mark nodded in agreement, and they moved forward together, further along her emerging path. Excitement blended with uncertainty, coiling tightly in her chest. The experience altered something fundamental within her. The more challenges she faced head-on, the clearer her path would become. Next, she whispered to herself, daring to envision the bigger picture. She felt a gentle nudge of clarity. A new momentum building. What had started off as a moment of embarrassment transformed into a juncture of commitment. But even as her spirits lifted, she felt the familiar twinge of doubt, knowing that the real revelation awaited her. And then Mark's expression changed, surprise lacing his features as he gestured toward a heartwarming conversation forming between two more figures in the swirling crowd. "Emma, look!" Curiosity prickled at her senses. What new twist lay ahead, ready to challenge everything she thought she knew? Emma turned her attention to where Mark was pointing, her heartbeat quickening again. Two figures stood engaged in animated conversation, the laughter between them infectious, a reminder of camaraderie she craved yet felt so distant from. As she studied them, she felt a twinge of longing gnaw at her resolve. Would moments like that ever belong to her? Mark nudged her, interrupting her thoughts. "What do you think? Have you ever considered opening up to new connections? Not just in business, but in life?" His question sliced through her haze, illuminating a tension she hadn't allowed herself to acknowledge. "New connections?" she questioned, her voice wary of the implications. "You mean dating? I don't even know where I would start." The very idea sent her spiraling into self-doubt. A bakery was one thing, but romance felt like an entirely different venture, one that left her vulnerable in unfamiliar territory. "Why not?" he said, leaning closer, eyes sparkling with genuine curiosity. "You have a lot to offer. It's okay to explore that side of yourself." Each word felt like a dare, but it also conjured something else deep within, curiosity against the backcloth of her cautious nature. Inwardly, Emma wrestled with the growing tension. Her past experiences and relationships were as complicated as the trajectory of her bakery dreams. She envisioned herself no longer the shy wallflower but a woman reclaiming her narrative, yet the specter of distrust clung to her. What if this was a path to disappointment? "You don't have to rush into anything. Just consider it," he continued, sensing her hesitance. "The bakery will take time, but so will your journey toward new experiences. Why cling to fear when there is so much awaiting you?" His encouragement swirled through her thoughts, concocting a blend of anxiety and excitement. Those two figures, sharing laughter, drew her in once more. What if she could build something more than a bakery? What if she could pursue connections that ignited her heart just as fiercely? She recalled the judgment of her former colleague, and an ember of determination sparked inside her, a new bridge stretching across her fears, a path to growth. "Okay," she whispered, though uncertainty laced her response. "I suppose maybe it's time to leave my comfort zone." Saying it out loud planted a seed of realization. "Great." Mark grinned, unwavering in his support. "Let us start with small steps. Perhaps we can seek opportunities together. You don't have to do it alone." Before she could mull over the implications of such a commitment, Mark gestured again as a couple moved forward. The whimsical scene seemed to beckon Emma, offering a glimpse into the lightness that lay beyond her internal struggles. As they continued to watch, Emma noticed a woman near the two figures, whose demeanor now caught her attention, a tinge of recognition washing over her. The vibrant energy radiating from the woman, a vivid contrast against her own self-imposed shadows, prompted a thought: what if she wasn't as alone in her experiences as she believed? "Mark, do you think I should talk to her?" The words slipped out before she could consider them too deeply. "Definitely," he encouraged, nudging her forward slightly. "It's a simple connection, and you might find common ground. Be open. Remember, vulnerability can lead you to unexpected places." Emma took a breath, the moment feeling pivotal. Tentatively, she approached the woman, ready to navigate this new terrain, both thrilling and terrifying. As they exchanged pleasantries, Emma felt the stirrings of something new budding within her, though she still grappled with her vulnerabilities. The conversation began to flow, revealing bits of shared experience, laughter punctuating their interaction. With every passing moment, the weight she carried around her fears felt slightly lighter. Could this be a step toward a different version of herself? And just as a possibility crystallized in her mind, the initial sparkle of understanding sparked bright. A sound erupted nearby, drawing her gaze. "Emma?" Mark called, his tone alarmed. "You might want to see this. Something big is about to unfold." Caught in a tension-filled moment of curiosity and anticipation, she turned back, heart racing once more at the prospect of what new challenge awaited. What revelation might shift the foundation of her freshly ignited aspirations? Emma's mind raced as she pivoted toward Mark's voice, trying to grasp the weight of the moment unfolding before her. The woman she had just begun to connect with flickered out of her focus, a fleeting ghost in the wake of this sudden urgency. What news could be so crucial to derail this budding interaction? "Wait, what is it?" she called back, her heart thudding as she joined Mark's side. The air buzzed with anticipation, an electrifying energy surrounding them. "That couple over there," Mark pointed, his eyes wide with excitement. "They're announcing their engagement. I think it might be a big deal for everyone here." Emma's stomach twisted into knots. Engagements were markers of commitment and trust, qualities she had been struggling to embrace in herself. Instead of excitement, she felt an intense pressure grip her mind, reminding her of the walls she had built around her heart. Mark nudged her gently. "Are you okay? You seem uncomfortable." "It's just a lot, you know," she managed, fiddling with the hem of her sweater. "I'm not sure I'm ready for all this." His expression softened. "It's okay to be apprehensive. But remember, embracing vulnerability also opens doors to deeper experiences. Look at those two, they didn't build a future overnight." As the crowd around them coalesced into a sea of cheers, Emma's gaze returned to the engaged couple. They basked under the warmth of their shared joy, embodying an intimacy that felt tantalizing but out of reach. This moment, she realized, could serve two purposes: a reminder of what she wanted or a barrier against her own desires. "I should have been part of those happy moments," she murmured, her past creeping back in like a suffocating shadow. "I was left behind once." Mark, sensing her turmoil, replied gently, "What if this isn't just a reminder of what's missing? Think of it as an inspiration for your own journey. You're not stuck in the past. You have the power to carve out something new." Fear and determination wrestled inside her. Perhaps stepping into vulnerability wasn't about risking sorrow. Maybe it was about nurturing her potential for joy. The engagement announcement concluded, applause ringing through the air, and Emma felt an urge within her to claim a sliver of that happiness for herself. What if I just dive in head first? Try being vulnerable for the sake of seeing what unfolds. Mark's eyes flickered with approval. That's the spirit. Remember, facing what frightens you can give you strength. A decision began to solidify within her, crystallizing the idea that she could approach relationships without the weight of the past dragging her down. Although the specter of inadequacy still lingered, Emma sensed an opportunity beginning to materialize before her. Let us connect with people, she declared suddenly. What's stopping me from lifting those boundaries a bit more? Leaning into a newfound confidence, she spotted the woman she had spoken with earlier across the room, her own laughter blending into the lively atmosphere. Taking a deep breath, Emma stepped forward, reaching out in pursuit of that sense of kinship she longed for. As she met the woman's eye, a spark of recognition bloomed, a shared understanding in their smiles. It felt like a pebble had been tossed into still waters, rippling outward. Perhaps there was something transformative waiting to be discovered. Just at that moment, a shrill laugh erupted behind her, breaking her focus once again. Can you believe it? A voice squealed. I never thought he would propose at a bakery. How cliché can you get? Emma's pulse quickened. Was it possible that her dreams could intertwine with the unexpected turns of life? Mark. She exhaled, excitement entwined with nervousness. I think we might need to rethink the next steps. There's more to experience here than I thought. As she reached out toward the woman, her heart both thrilled and terrified, she felt the unmistakable stirrings of a new beginning. What awaited her in the mingling dynamics of relationships, a path where she could be more than just Emma the baker. And then a network of possibilities unfolded before her, as she prepared to step forward into the unknown. What hidden truths about her own worth and capabilities were waiting just beyond this burgeoning connection? Emma's feet felt anchored to the ground, the noise of laughter and chatter fading into a soft hum as she focused on the woman across the room. Her heart raced, an odd blend of excitement and fear coursing through her, propelling her forward with each heartbeat. In her mind, self-doubt nagged at her, yet her core felt the thrill of possibility lighting up her thoughts. What if this moment was about more than just connection? What if it truly held the potential to alter her trajectory? Mark's words reverberated in her mind, infusing her with the courage to take the next step. Embracing vulnerability opens doors. She'd spent too long cloistered behind her walls, identifying herself solely as the baker or the single mom. What if she could begin again, refashion herself in this vibrant world of relationships that was as intoxicating as it was intimidating? Here goes nothing, she mumbled, and as if the universe had taken her thought as a command, she took a determined stride toward the woman, a smile fluttering on her lips, her feelings radiating warmth. Hi! I'm Emma, she said, extending her hand, her voice steadier than she felt. I think we spoke earlier? The woman's smile widened. Of course. Amanda. You were talking about that incredible new recipe you're working on? Yes. It's this chocolate raspberry tart I couldn't wait to perfect. The feedback has been amazing. With each exchange, Emma's initial trepidation began to dissolve, revealing a growing confidence that articulated her journey. As they talked, Emma drew deeper into the conversation, discovering how Amanda shared a passion for culinary arts as well. The exchange illuminated her own satisfaction with the path she had chosen, a powerful realization that reaffirmed her professional experience. Honestly, sometimes I feel like there is so much pressure to be the perfect parent, while not losing sight of my dreams, Amanda admitted, her openness mirroring Emma's own evolving self-awareness. The words hung in the air, resonating deeply with Emma. It struck a chord. The veil of inadequacy she had felt began to lift ever so slightly. You're not alone in that, Emma replied. It can be so daunting. I've been caught in a cycle of doubt, feeling like I have to choose between my career and being a mom. Exactly. But taking the leap to be vulnerable, sharing these moments with other people, has really helped me. Amanda's eyes sparkled with sincerity, cementing the connection they were forging. We need to lift each other up. Emma felt a new energy bubbling within her. It wasn't just about surviving her day to day. It was about growing, reaching towards the dreams she sometimes locked away out of fear. The oppressive weight she carried felt lighter, perhaps because she was no longer shouldering it alone. Instead of the baker and single mom, she started to envision who she could be, an unafraid, ambitious woman who could inspire both her son and herself. I have so many ideas for my bakery, but I keep second-guessing myself. I want to market it better, engage with customers beyond just baking, she confessed, daring to admit her aspirations. Sound like you're ready for the next step, Amanda encouraged. Investing in yourself is part of that journey. I'd love to brainstorm with you. Maybe we can partner up on something? Emma's heart thudded in excited disbelief. Partnering? The notion felt foreign yet exhilarating, a bridge spanning her desire and reality. However, as she basked in this newfound confidence, an unsettling thought wormed its way into her mind. Could she commit to such a leap without risking the stability she had fought so hard to provide? Was she ready to intertwine her path with someone else's? Thank you, Emma said, swallowing the doubt that bubbled to the surface. I'd definitely like that. The evening unfurled with laughter and camaraderie, each moment sowing seeds of resilience inside her heart. The taste of possibility lingered sweetly on her tongue. Yet as they parted ways and the comfortable heaviness of the night settled in, an ache of uncertainty twisted in her gut. The world might be waiting for her, an unexpected chapter beckoning, but would she dare embrace it, with the hopes and fears intertwined? Determined to navigate these uncharted waters, Emma glanced back toward Mark, who stood waiting, his encouraging smile warming her. I think everything is changing, she said quietly, feeling the weight of decisions looming on the horizon. The real questioning was just beginning, and somewhere deep inside, she sensed a reckoning approaching. Could she truly reconcile her hopes, fears, and the relentless drive to find her place in both her heart and her profession? As new connections unfolded, she braced herself not just for the journey ahead but for the truths waiting to surface. What else might she discover about herself when she dared to step beyond her self-imposed limits? The next morning, Emma found herself staring at the mirror, scrutinizing the woman looking back at her. The reflection was familiar yet foreign, a blend of self-doubt and newfound ambition. The warmth of last night's conversation lingered, but so did the gnawing anxiety about moving forward. She felt like a ship ready to set sail, yet tethered by the weight of expectation. Flashes of her discussion with Amanda replayed in her mind. With every replay, she became increasingly aware of the gap between potential and action. She had always prioritized her son, nurturing him as he grew, but what had that meant for her own dreams? As a baker, she knew the importance of precision and patience, but now it felt like she was baking a new recipe. No longer just flour and sugar, this time, it demanded courage and creativity. After showering, she made her way to the kitchen, the familiar scent of fresh bread drawing her in. As she kneaded the dough, the repetitive motion calmed her racing thoughts. Yet, an unsettling realization crept up: she had been the one holding herself back. Why not explore those ideas? She murmured to herself, now determined not to let the fear root her in place. She grabbed her notebook and began jotting down potential marketing strategies for her bakery. This was more than just a list, it was a declaration that she was ready to evolve. Perhaps she could host baking classes to engage with her customers, creating a community around her craft. But even as she wrote, doubts whispered threats of inadequacy. What if her classes flopped? What if people didn't understand her vision? Confronting this inner critic, she remembered Amanda's words: embracing vulnerability opens doors. Could embracing that vulnerability also mean embracing her fears, exposing her doubts to the light? The realm of partnership with Amanda floated in the back of her mind, an alluring possibility she had never considered before. The thought sent both excitement and trepidation coursing through her. But what if vulnerability didn't just open doors, but also led to cacophonous chaos? Sharing her business, her ideas, would it feel like relinquishing control or simply letting go? After days of solitude in her thoughts, she reached for her phone and hesitated. It felt monumental, taking this step toward forging a collaboration rather than retreating into her shell. She decided to take the plunge and text Amanda, proposing a brainstorming session. As she hit send, a rush of adrenaline coursed through her. This act, albeit small, symbolized a significant shift, one that transcended mere professional interaction and traversed into personal evolution. Stepping outside her comfort zone was becoming less of an option and more of a necessity. Throughout the day, she kept working on her bakery-esque strategy, pouring her passion onto the pages. Each stroke of her pen solidified her vision, a mix of sales and personal connections. Each idea illuminated the possibilities, showcasing her skills not just as a baker but as a dreamer willing to expand her horizons. The evening drew near, and as Emma lit candles around her dining table, a ritual she cherished, her phone chimed. It was Amanda. "I'm excited. Let us meet this Friday and get those ideas flowing." Emma's heart raced. The excitement fizzled tensions into something almost tangible. She sat at the table, dinner cooling in front of her, and for the first time in what seemed an eternity, felt anticipation instead of dread. Later that night, as she tucked her son in, he looked up with wide, innocent eyes. "Mom, when are you going to open your bakery again?" The question hung in the air, suggesting more than just a simple inquiry. It was a call to action. It meant her dreams were worth pursuing for herself and for him. Suddenly, the reality struck her. The moment of truth wasn't he just in collaborating with Amanda or revamping her bakery. The truth was in the commitment to herself, and the courage to extend her arms beyond safety. There was no guarantee the path ahead would be smooth, or even defined. With a deep breath, she took her place at the edge of her own transformation. Could she transform her fears into stepping stones towards a new destiny? As the first rays of dawn crept into the darkness of night, Emma sat down with her thoughts, ready to embrace whatever came next. A new chapter beckoned, and while her heart pulsed with uncertainty, she felt a flicker of resolve ignite within her soul. Just maybe, she was ready to rise. But just as she found her footing, another flicker of doubt surfaced. What if this leap ended up unearthing past failures that she had long buried? What if the partnership brought up unforeseen complications? As she pondered these questions, she realized she stood at a precipice, teetering between hope and fear. It became clear that the real journey wasn't just about baking or business. It was about finally facing what lay inside her. The hesitant thrill of potential hung heavy in the air as she began to draft a speech for their first meeting. Little did she know, the confrontation would be internal, revealing burdens she had carried far too long. What truths would emerge when she laid bare her aspirations and fears? There would be no turning back. The day of the meeting arrived, shrouded in a peculiar mix of excitement and anxiety. Emma stood in front of her closet, rifling through clothes without truly seeing them. Each piece felt insufficient for the moment that loomed ahead. She needed to feel confident, yet every outfit reminded her of her past, a collage of mismatched memories that amplified her insecurities. A fitted blazer caught her eye, and she reluctantly pulled it on, adjusting it one too many times in the mirror. The morning sun streamed through the window, illuminating the kitchen with a warm glow, yet she felt chilled inside. As she prepared a quick breakfast, her mind swirled with apprehensions. What if Amanda questioned her ideas? What if she failed to articulate her dreams clearly? The adrenaline from her text the other night had faded, replaced with a weight of uncertainty, a smothering layer that threatened to crush her resolve. While waiting for Amanda, Emma occupied her time with cooking. The rhythms of measuring, whisking, and mixing provided solace, revealing an underlying strength she often overlooked. As though transformed under her hands, she felt connected to the essence of creation, the very heartbeat of her artistry. Yet, the nagging question lingered: was she capable of extending that creativity beyond the comfortable boundaries of her kitchen? The door chimed, pulling her from her introspective trance. Amanda entered, a presence that radiated calm confidence. They exchanged pleasantries, but Emma couldn't shake the shadow of vulnerability that loomed over her. Taking a deep breath, she invited Amanda to sit at the table, and the moment felt inexplicably significant. "What inspired you to reach out?" Amanda began, her eyes sparking a genuine curiosity. It took a moment to gather her thoughts, a brief battle with self-doubt. "I think I want to share more than just bread. I want to cultivate a community, a safe space for people to connect through baking. The words flowed freer than she anticipated, catching both her and Amanda off guard. Amanda nodded, encouraging, and Emma could feel the weight slowly lifting. They began to bounce ideas off each other, each suggestion prompting a deeper discussion. Emma found herself absorbing Amanda's enthusiasm, not just for business, but for their potential partnership. There was a synergy building, a shared excitement for what their collaboration could look like. As the conversation unfolded, small revelations emerged, illuminating pieces of knowledge within Emma that she hadn't recognized before. The realization struck: this wasn't merely about baking classes or sales strategies. It was about the connections that could be forged through shared experiences. It was about overcoming the fear that had restrained her for too long. Yet, with each passing moment, Emma also confronted a deeper truth: the fear of judgment, and the possibility of failure now felt less daunting, transformed into an exhilarating challenge. How powerful to entertain the idea that failure was merely a part of growth. Have you ever thought about how fear can actually be a compass to guide us? Amanda's question struck a chord, and Emma pondered her response. I guess I've always viewed fear as a dead end, Emma admitted. But it might just point to areas where I can learn. Maybe that's where the real growth lies, confronting what scares me. As the meeting progressed, Emma felt herself opening up, her barriers gradually crumbling. They discussed audience engagement strategies and interactive classes designed to foster a tight-knit community of bakers. Each concept on the table represented a step away from her former life, a tangible manifestation of her dreams. But lurking in the recesses of her mind was the specter of past failures. Though she pushed those thoughts away, she recognized they would need addressing. She couldn't move forward without confronting them. Emma's hand subconsciously caressed the edges of her notebook, the place where scars and ambitions coexisted. As the sun dipped below the horizon outside, their brainstorming session culminated in a cohesive plan. Emma felt as if she had cracked a code within herself, but there remained an important question unanswered: how would she handle the inevitable obstacles that were bound to arise? As she prepared to wrap up the meeting, Amanda leaned in slightly, her expression serious yet inviting. What do you think will happen when the first class happens? Emma's heart raced as resignation began slipping in. What if it turned disastrous? What if she stumbled, spiraled down a path of inadequacy? And yet, instead of fear, a spark of courage welled up within her. I think it might feel like a reflection of everything I've been too afraid to confront, she replied, voice steady. But maybe that's how I'll truly find my footing. The weight of the conversation settled. Emma grasped the enormity of her journey, a past still shrouded in uncertainty. As they wrapped up, Amanda's supportive smile lingered in the air. But Emma's thoughts remained tangled in what was newly unearthed. Would embracing her vulnerability in the classes reveal unhealed parts of herself she had long neglected? Each step forward now felt like a swim against an immense tide, a struggle wrapped in profound discovery. As she walked Amanda to the door, the question echoed: would her fears transform into fuel for her aspirations or pull her under? In that moment, on the cusp of action, Emma realized this was only the beginning. What lay ahead was a confrontation with not just business, but the echoes of her past. And she braced herself for the storm that might follow. Emma stood in her bakery, the soothing scent of freshly baked bread enveloping her like a warm embrace. It had been a year since she finally took the leap, transforming her dreams into a bustling reality. What started as a trembling ambition now flourished, far beyond what she had imagined. Every day was fueled by both her passion and a fierce commitment to herself and her children. Behind her, the laughter of her son rang through the corners of the shop, a reminder of the legacy she was crafting. She stole a glance at him, proudly arranging pastries on the counter, taking after his mother in a way that warmed her heart. "Mom, are you ready for the grand opening today?" he shouted, his eyes shining with excitement. The grand opening was a milestone she thought would take years to reach. Now, it was finally here. Emma took a moment to reflect on how far she had come. Sitting in her office the night before, going over the plans for today's event, she remembered the girl who had stood anxiously at that restaurant only a year ago. That woman had betrayed herself with doubts. Now, she was bold and fearless. Emma had conquered those insecurities piece by piece, and in the process she found her voice a powerful force that resonated through everyone she encountered. With one final check on the tables adorned with flowers from loyal customers, Emma clutched the business plan she had crafted alongside Amanda. Their partnership had blossomed into a strategy that not only promoted her bakery but also fostered a supportive community for others, with courses tailored to encourage aspiring bakers to follow their dreams. Vulnerability had led her to grow, not just as a baker but also as a mentor. The chime above the door announced the arrival of the first guests. Emma's heart raced at the sight of community members, friends, and even familiar faces she had once thought would judge her. Throughout the event, she shared stories of resilience, hope, and personal triumph. Sneaking glances at her son, she felt an overwhelming swell of gratitude. Today, they weren't just celebrating baked goods, they were honoring the journey that had brought them here. Customers lined up to taste her signature chocolate raspberry tart, delight dancing in their eyes. Emma had once feared failure. Now, with every slice served and every smile exchanged, she understood that it was the moments of vulnerability that equipped her to face anything. This bakery represented her journey, the smiles, the hardships, and the dream that had blossomed amid fears. As the day approached its climax, Emma took center stage, addressing the crowd with a voice she no longer hesitated to project. Thank you for joining us on this special day. This bakery is not just about pastries, it's a space to dream, to create, and to encourage one another. Each of us carries a unique story worth celebrating. The applause that surged through the room felt like a flood of energy, washing over her insecurities. Here she stood, no longer the fragile woman uncertain of her place in the world, but a powerhouse, someone who had embraced her struggles, worn them like a badge of honor, and emerged transformed. As she concluded her speech, a figure caught her eye, Amanda, who beamed with pride from her spot among the guests. Together, they shared a glance that spoke volumes. They had both taken significant steps, pooling their talents and passions, affirming that they were stronger together. Emma was no longer just seeing the bakery as an entrepreneurship milestone, it had evolved into an emblem of perseverance and collective growth. With her son by her side and the support of the community she had fostered, Emma felt an irresistible wave of love and acceptance wash over her. Every setback had carved a pathway to this moment, each hardship enlightening her on what matters most: the courage to chase her dreams and the strength to uplift others along the way. There was undeniable satisfaction in knowing that she'd built something that would endure, not just for her but for all those like her who dared to define success differently. Emma had proven to herself that the bakery was more than a business. It was a lifelong commitment to her aspirations and, ultimately, a testament to her evolution. As the grand opening unfolded into a lively celebration, Emma took a moment to soak it all in. She was not simply a baker, she was a pioneer of her story. Today marked not just the celebration of her dreams, but the moment she took ownership of her life. Feeling the surge of joy course through her, she closed her eyes for a brief second, opened them, and made a resolution. This was just the beginning. This bakery, these people, this life, they were all part of a grand tapestry connecting dreams with possibilities. Emma had conquered her fears and transformed them into exhilarating opportunities to inspire, teach, and share love through her baked creations. And the year ahead? It would be defined by building on this foundation, one where both her family and her dreams could flourish together. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive emotional stories that can inspire your own journey. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Your support is crucial. Comment below your reactions and theories about how Emma achieved this incredible turnaround. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion help them embrace their own transformations. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait even one more second to help others find the courage to chase their dreams.